Hey there, adventure seekers. Well, in the ongoing life in the RV situation, we have another problem. Okay, and here's what it sounds like when you have a stripped gear. We just got here to San Benito Preserve, and when we got here, I opened the door to get out. Steps didn't work at all. No movement, nothing. And they were actually sticking out about that far. So I'm sitting here looking at the steps now. We did get them to work, but when they worked, man, they made a god-awful noise. When at the end of the rotation, either coming in or going out, it made a really loud noise. So my first thought was we probably stripped the gear, because there's just plastic gears in these Kwikee or Lippert step motors. It's Labor Day weekend. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, barely have cell signal. So I'm going to try to do an emergency repair on this, because I think I know what the problem is. It's those stripped gears, and it's a gear, and it's a gear about that big around that rotates the arm to open the steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to get under there. We're just going to move that gear a little bit so the stripped teeth are not in the range of motion of the motor. So let's go check it out. You know, so of course these things never happen when you're on nice level concrete pads or in cool weather. We've been in cool weather for the last month. This is our first day down here in San Benito Preserve. It's like 90 and rocks. There'll be rocks. So we'll make the most of it. This shouldn't take long if I'm able to get this one piece off. So what we gotta do is take this cotter pin out right here, and should be able to do this by hand. Bend the pin back, and the pin just broke. So you know what that means? That means we're gonna go buy a new pin, which is no big deal. Any home improvement store will have a cotter pin. And just broke that off there too. Before we go any further, we want to go ahead and disconnect the power. Just push this little button in. So I saved you guys the drama of getting that cotter pin out. It was a pain in the butt. Actually, I bent it. So I'm definitely going to Home Depot for sure now, or Lowe's or wherever I can find, to get a new cotter pin and all that. So not a big deal, pretty cheap. So now we got to take the motor off. Here's what it sounds like when you have a stripped gear. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, try pulling into a campground at 10 o'clock at night and opening your steps to that. Luckily we were here during the day. Alright, let's get this motor off right here. Then we can rearrange this gear. We can also confirm that it's the gear. We can see the motor's working fine. And we just take these 3 screws off here and we'll be good to go. Well, we just need a 10mm socket to get these 3 screws out. And wouldn't you know, I have a complete socket set, both metric and American. I'm missing, the only one I'm missing, 10mm. But we're gonna do this the not so easy way. So let's get to work. And it's very important you remove the power plug, obviously, because you don't want this thing accidentally turning on, and you don't want these steps closing on you. Of course, we've got them disconnected now, so they're not going to close on me, but safety first. So we just remove these 3 bolts, and then I'll move the camera in and we can get a close-up look at the gearbox. Of course, one thing you do not want to do is you do not want this motor to fall on you, and it's not at the moment because it's in there pretty tight, so you're gonna have to work it out, wiggle it out. But I'm still holding my hand there just to be on the safe side. Just wiggle it out, and there it drops. It's got plenty of grease there, so let's check out this wheel and see where we got missing teeth. And oddly, we don't have any missing teeth anywhere. And this is all good. All right, well, they're pretty ground out. Well, just to be on the safe side, we'll move it back here. You gotta kind of finagle it to get the gears in right, and we'll see what happens. Now, still have that problem. There's something wrong with the gear itself in the motor. But as you can see so far, pretty easy. And actually, if I'd have taken this motor off first, I wouldn't have bent the pin holding this arm to the steps. So that was my bad. Learn from my mistakes. That's what I always say. And if you've been following our channel any length of time, you know that I do make mistakes because I am human. But I choose to show you my mistakes because, well, that's who I am. And sometimes some people will see, well, he didn't do that, and that might be an easier way. Well, when in reality, I did do that, and it broke something or was harder. So that's why I always show my mistakes. All right, so now we got that done. Gonna reconnect power, and we're gonna see what happens. So Shelly's coming to open the door so I don't have to get out of here. And it worked, no noise. Now she's gonna close the door. Didn't like that at all. Okay, well, so let's see what's causing that noise, because we fixed it in one direction, but not the other. I'm gonna take the motor back off, and we'll be back in a minute. All right, so the teeth here look pretty good. What we need to do is add some more grease. Unfortunately, I don't have any with me right now, but it's still got enough grease to be okay for now, because I'm gonna replace this whole thing as quickly as I can anyway. And if you look here, on the motor itself, you see plenty of grease. This pin right here comes right out. It just floats and holds that gear in place. And I think what the problem was with this is that pin had somehow come out, because when I pulled this motor out the very first time, the gear actually fell over. So I'm thinking somehow, some weird way that happened. The next step is we're going to go ahead and put this, hook that back up, which is going to make it a little difficult to put the motor back in, but that's the way you should do it anyway. That's not the way I did it to begin with, so don't follow my example on taking it off. If you take the motor off first, it releases the tension on this, so you don't screw up the whole retaining pin here like I did. So $3.31 later, I found a replacement at the third home improvement store I went to. It took me 1 Lowe's and 2 Home Depots to find the right size. They all had the right size, but they were out of stock. So let's hook this back up, put the motor in, and give it a test. Okay, so here's the replacement parts I got. This clevis pin here is pretty much identical. It's a hair bit longer, which is no big deal. And it has a bunch of holes here. It's kind of blurry, I'm sorry. There's a bunch of holes here, so you can easily put it wherever you need it. And the nice thing too is, for my $3.31 with tax in California total, I got 5 of these cotter pins. So if I break another one, no big deal. Now, I'm going to be replacing this motor and gear assembly anyway in the near future, as soon as I can actually, as soon as I can get the parts. So for now, this should be a good temp fix. All right, let's install this. We're going to install the motor, give her a test, hope for the best. So pretty simple. Put this in. You can't see from that camera angle. It's a little bit longer, but not a big deal from the old one. So we make sure we got good travel. Yeah, we do. And now we'll reinstall the motor. I still need to go get a 10mm socket, so until that happens, or wrenching it, which is still no big deal. It's pretty easy to wrench. Now, if you're going to replace the gear assembly up here, a socket will make this job immensely easier. We're going to have to finagle this a little bit to get it to work. I mean, get it to fit. There we go. This really is a pretty simple repair. You just need a pair of pliers to help get the cotter pin out, and a 10mm wrench or socket to get the motor out. And those are tools you should have laying around anyway. A lot of people have trouble with these, getting them out. The easy thing to do is on the top here, there's this little thing to push in, and you usually can't push it in good enough. So just put a screwdriver in there and bend it down, and it'll come right out real easy. Took me a while to figure that out. Okay, we're all hooked up. It's time for a test. What's the problem? Well, the motor burned out, so we had to go get a new one. By we, I mean Shelly. Found one at Camping World. Getting ready to put it in, see if that works. Putting the new one in, pretty easy. You just got to take the gear out. That's very important. I'm going to show you this real quick. This gear right here does not come with the new motor. So if this gear is busted, then you need to buy the gear too. Just something to keep in mind. All right, we're going to move the gear over, install it. Fingers crossed that this is it. Also on the to-do list will be to buy this whole thing, the gear assembly and another motor to keep as a spare. And I'm going to have links to all that in the description below, so you can purchase one as well if you'd like. All right, we got all the bolts tight, got power plugged in. Shelly's got the door open because the steps are out, and now we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. All right, close the door. That worked. Open the door. Okay, turn the switch off and close the door. Okay, adventure seekers, we got it fixed. And what lessons did we learn? Number one, carry spares. Spare motor, gear assembly, clevis pin, and cotter pins. And I'm going to have links to all that stuff in the description below. Again, this is the Kwikee step, or Lippert down, because Lippert bought Kwikee step, best I can remember. This motor up here is a windshield wiper motor off a car. And I saw these at Napa for like 40 bucks. Now, this was 100 at Camping World, or it's 80 on Amazon. So I'm gonna buy one from Napa and give it a test. And if it works, you'll have the link to that particular motor in the description below as well, because why spend the money just because it's for an RV? Lots of stuff is not RV specific, but if you buy it at an RV store, well, you pay RV prices. The other lesson learned is we can move this gear assembly around if there's any teeth broken. Now, there wasn't any teeth broken, so really the whole problem all along with this was the actual motor. It was messing up, and then it finally seized and died. But now we've got the new motor in, we're good to go. So have you ever had step problems before on your Class A or C or any other RV you had that has mechanical steps? Let me know in the comments below what you had to do to get it fixed. If this video was helpful, let us know that as well. Give us a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber already, well, consider becoming a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button down below. Ring the notification bell so you'll know whenever we do post new content. And if you'd like to help us help small Christian-based charities all over the country, then consider becoming a YouTube or Patreon member. And there's other ways. All that's down in the description below. But if you're a YouTube or Patreon member, you're going to see some exclusive behind the scenes, bloopers, real-time updates, and other things. Thanks again for watching, and may your next journey be an epic adventure.